Adultery is a deeply evil act that causes grave harm to other people. It was the kiss cam seen around the world. As everyone in America and every other country on earth knows by now, the CEO of a tech company called Astronomer, Andy Byron, was caught on the Jumbotron at a Coldplay concert in a romantic embrace with the head of his HR department, Kristen Cabot. Both of them are married, just not to each other, although we can expect that their marital statuses may be rapidly changing after this video went mega viral, massively viral. We haven't seen anything this viral since Hawk Tuah. Okay, this is Hawk Tuah territory. And that's how viral it went over the weekend. And here it is. If somehow you've managed to not see it, I'm going to ruin that streak for you now. Watch.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Absolutely shameful display. It is just shocking and incomprehensible that two people would go to a Coldplay concert. And now I know that a million people have already made that joke, but as a dad, I have no aversion to repeating worn out jokes. As you saw, they were caught cuddling up to each other and then panicked when the camera panned to them. Andy hit the deck like somebody just threw a grenade. Kristen turned away and covered her face, but it was too late. I mean, the train had left the station along with half of their net worth in the divorce settlements. Granted, there is no good way to react when you end up on the Jumbotron at a Coldplay concert hugging the coworker you're having an affair with. But of all the bad options, these two chose the absolute worst one. Now, if only they'd practiced improv or something, then they might have thought to pretend like Kristen was choking and Andy was doing the Heimlich. Maybe she could have pretended that she passed out from sheer boredom. It is a Coldplay concert after all. Andy was dragging her out to receive medical attention. Any of those tactics or any other tactic at all would have been better. Now, I'm making jokes, and so is the rest of the planet. And rightfully so. These two did something evil and shameful, and they did it brazenly in public in an arena surrounded by thousands of people. And now they're experiencing the consequences. And there is something incredibly absurd about the whole thing, which makes the jokes justified and inevitable, if not perhaps very nice. But amid all the mockery, we should not lose sight of the fact that we're talking about adultery, and adultery is incredibly harmful and deeply wicked. That's why when this first went viral, I responded on X with a take that will surprise nobody in my audience. I said that adultery ought to be against the law. There should be not just personal and professional, but legal repercussions as well. This is the kind of statement that shocks and appalls the modern mind, but would not have shocked or appalled anyone in the world until very recently. Laws against adultery were commonplace for centuries everywhere. And I'm not saying that we should criminalize adultery solely for that reason, but when the voices of our ancestors speak up unanimously on a subject, it's wise to at least listen to them. Maybe everybody in the world was wrong for thousands of years until you came along. I mean, it is possible they were wrong about certain things, but there's a very good chance that they had a very good reason for approaching things the way they did. In the case of criminalizing adultery, the reason is exceedingly clear. It's quite simple. Adultery is a deeply evil act that causes grave harm to other people, namely your spouse, your children, your family, and to a lesser, though still very real extent, especially in this case, your friends, your colleagues, and your community. Now, I would argue that if an act is A, deeply evil, which adultery is, and B, it causes grave harm to innocent third parties, which adultery clearly does, then by definition, it should be illegal. Laws quite literally exist to prohibit such behavior, which is why I could provide a laundry list of things that are an order of magnitude less harmful than adultery that are nonetheless illegal and should be. Things like shoplifting, littering, obvious examples, but even something like assault, walking up to a stranger and punching him in the face is clearly, in my mind, less evil and usually less harmful than adultery. With adultery, you're destroying the lives of the people closest to you in the world. With the punch in the face in this example, you're causing probably temporary physical damage to a stranger. So if the latter is obviously illegal, then how much more obvious is it, or should it be, for the former? In any case, this is what I wanted to talk about for our daily cancellation. And I guess I already have talked about it for a while at this point. But the conversation took an interesting turn because of some of the feedback to my post. A number of men, including some prominent ones, responded that my idea is bad not because adultery is okay universally, but because it's okay specifically for men. This is the point that Andrew Tate made in a reply to me on X. It's worth responding in some depth because his perspective on marriage and family life has proven, we must admit, quite appealing to a large number of young men. And I think that that is a very troubling thing because his perspective on this topic is wrong, and I'll explain why. So here's Andrew Tate. Reading, quote, "Great way to put the nail in marriage's coffin. Nobody gets married anymore because of women like her. Men are men, always have been and will be. He's allowed, she isn't. Telling men if they touch another girl at any point in their lives equals financial decimation is why nobody gets married anymore." Now, I responded and said, I disagree. Loyalty and integrity are essential virtues for a man. If you make a vow before God, you keep it. Sneaking around with another woman while your wife is at home with your children is a violation of the promise you made to her and to God, and therefore unmanly and weak. I have 4 sons and raised them to always keep the promises. Never make a promise you don't intend to keep. This is fundamental. Now, Tate had another rebuttal. He wrote, "Agreed on this point about teaching our sons to keep the promises, which is why any man with a brain doesn't hand over keys to his castle to a misandric legal system and over-emotional, unchecked females. The world's changed, Matt. Women are a fraction of what they were. Telling men to just get married and just be loyal gets men wrecked. The only way they hold the relationship together is to give up any ounce of masculinity. Living hell. The smartest move on the chessboard for a man now is to get rich and have as many children as he wants from as many women as he wants and take care of them all. Second world, avoid first world courts. Own your empire, and women will respect you in return for their provision. 4 sons isn't bad. I have more, and I always will. And no woman can steal my hundreds of millions. Marriage is suicide. Feminists built a world where females have no duty as wives and every possibility to destroy you. If you can't change the game, win the game." Now, I've already made the argument that laws against adultery, which I support, have a lot of historical precedent. I must acknowledge then the same thing here. The setup, which Andrew Tate describes and promotes, where men have children by many different women, has lots of historical precedent. It does. This is the way that primitive societies have operated for thousands of years. And today, this strategy, if we can call it that, is very popular in certain communities in this country. According to the Department of Energy, blackouts could increase by 10,000% over the next few years. It's because of massive energy demand from AI data centers and an aging, fragile power grid that just can't keep up. I don't know about you, but I don't like the idea of home necessities being without power even for a day. And that's why I recommend the Grid Doctor 3300 from My Patriot Supply. It's a powerful solar generator that runs refrigerators, AC units, medical devices, power tools, anything you need to ride out a blackout. And right now, for their Christmas in July event, they're including over $1,000 in free survival gear with your generator, including an emergency food supply, water filtration, survival tools, and more. You heard that right, over $1,000 in free gear for a limited time. Head to mypatriotsupply.com/Walsh. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Walsh and grab the Christmas in July bundle before it's gone. Blackouts likely are coming, so go to mypatriotsupply.com/Walsh and get prepared today so you're not caught off guard tomorrow. And you can always spot those communities because they're the ones that are the most dysfunctional, the filthiest, most destitute, and crime-ridden places in the country. Show me the murder rate and the average yearly income in any neighborhood, and I will tell you whether most of the children in that neighborhood have a father in the home or not. And I will never be wrong. Andrew Tate talks about this kind of lifestyle as though it's natural. In a post on Sunday, he made that claim explicitly. He said, quote, "Monogamy isn't natural for men. Men are men. This is how they'll always be." And he's right in a certain way. It is natural. It's natural in the sense that it appeals to our most base and uncivilized impulses. Another word might be primitive. An even better word would be animalistic, which is why it's so commonly found in the animal kingdom. Reptiles and fish behave this way. You're not going to find a monogamous lizard or shark. Monkeys are almost always non-monogamous. Go down the list of animal species, and they almost all approach family formation the way that Andrew Tate prescribes. But the problem is that we are not monkeys or lizards or sharks. We are human beings. And my controversial contention is that we should act like it. Is monogamy natural? Even better, it's supernatural. Man and wife become one at the altar. They are bound together by the vow they made before God. This is above our base instincts. And so is composing a symphony or sculpting the statue of David out of a massive hunk of marble. These things are achieved, just like any great thing is achieved, by rejecting temptation, subordinating our base desires, embracing some measure of hardship for the sake of something far greater than whatever momentary pleasure we can experience by giving in to them. And there is nothing in this world more manly, more masculine than that. In fact, I would say this is the very definition of masculinity. Can you do the harder thing for the sake of the greater good? If you're going to impart one thing to your sons and your daughters as a father, it should be this: teaching them how to do the harder thing for the greater good. And if you can't, or if you won't, then you aren't manly. And no matter how much money you have or how much you can bench press, doesn't matter. Now, Tate says that men will be men, and yes, that's true, but will they be good men? Will they be men of virtue and fidelity and discipline? They can be if they pursue the higher thing. In a similar way, I might say that many men will father children. That's easy to do. But will they be fathers? They have children. Will they raise them? That's the hard part. Now, I keep talking about hardship and difficulty, rightly so. But I don't want to make it sound like being a faithful husband and father is nothing but misery and drudgery, and all you can do is just grit your teeth and bear it. That's not the case. I love being married. I love being a dad. It's a lot of fun much of the time. It's a source of great joy. That's what happens when you simply let go of your childish need to put your own immediate gratification before anything and everything all the time. You discover an ability to do the harder thing and actually enjoy it. The way that guys like Tate describe marriage makes it seem like, we're living in entirely different universes, and perhaps we are, because he describes marriage like it's a labor camp. A man is imprisoned by his controlling, ungrateful, promiscuous wife who runs out to cheat on him as soon as he leaves for work in the morning. He makes it seem, or outright claims, that it's essentially impossible for a man to find a good, faithful woman who will bear his children, stay true to her vows, and respect and love him until he dies. But how can it be impossible? I am currently in such an arrangement. I know many men in the same boat. If you don't know any truly happy and faithful marriages, then I would suggest that the problem isn't with marriage. It's that you are surrounding yourself with awful people. Now, finally, back to the subject of raising boys. I will say that if you want boys to become men, you cannot leave them to be raised almost entirely by women. Boys need the daily guidance and example that can only be provided by a man who lives in the home and has committed himself to that family and that family alone. Now, Tate says that he has more sons than I do. I believe him. But my sons and my daughters have more of me than Tate's children will ever have of him. I come home to them every night. Their home is my home. I sit at the head of our table when we eat dinner. We say our prayers before bed. I give them a kiss goodnight. And every night for years, as I'm turning off the lights in their room, they say to me, "Dad, will you stay up for a while?" Because they want to know that I'll be there awake, watching over the house so they can rest easy. And my answer is always yes, no matter how tired I am. You need to be at home with your children. You need to be the captain of the ship, which means you have to be on the ship. You need to eat and sleep there and walk the deck with your crew and share in the hardship and the struggle and the joy and the triumph. And most of all, you need to be there when the storms come, and they will come. And that's why I have one wife and one family, and they will be mine until I die. And I'd rather die than leave them or betray them. Or frankly, go to a Coldplay concert just to bring this all full circle. And that's why all adulterers and fornicators and polygamists and Coldplay fans are today. Canceled. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.